iPhone 17e and 16e exist for two reasons. So you can get the iPhone experience for what Apple considers a budget price, and so you can see just how much better the iPhone 17 is and decide to spend more for that one. However, if you only care about a robust iPhone that gets the job done, one of these will be the better choice. We're diving deep into the design, display, battery performance, and cameras to tell you which one is the winner, so that you don't have to buy both. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com, and remember, you can join our community by hitting the join button below for exclusive videos and perks. Here's a special shout out to Hungarian Bull and Tevin for becoming Ultra members. You're gonna hear this a lot throughout this review, but these two look identical. The only thing that differentiates the 17e from the 16e is this new soft pink color that we absolutely love here in the office. Even the USB-C port is pink. Also new but invisible is that the 17e now has MagSafe support. This is something Apple omitted on the 16e for the sake of their price ladder. As for materials, we have identical matte aluminium frames and a frosted glass back. Apple doesn't specify exactly which kind of glass they're using for the rear though. Both phones weigh pretty much the same and both offer an IP68 rating against dust and water for everyday peace of mind. But is everything the same for the displays? Well, yes and no. Both come with the same old 6.1-inch OLED panel and 60Hz refresh rate that we last saw on the 4-year-old iPhone 13. However, one thing that is new, the 17e comes with an anti-reflective coating to help cut down on glare. In our typical high brightness test where we simulate direct sunlight at over 100,000 lux, both phones were pretty much on par, falling just shy of 880 nits. For peak brightness, the iPhone 17e was actually a bit dimmer, but the difference is invisible to the naked eye. For security, you can see both still come with Face ID housed in that old school notch, so you are getting zero dynamic island capabilities here. Now feel free to pause the video right here for even more info on screen specs. We were really hoping for the 17e to get a better panel this year, but all we got was that anti-reflective coating and stronger glass. They're welcome upgrades for sure, but it is 2026. Every other phone out there supports 120 Hz nowadays and hits well over 1000 nits of brightness. But is Apple hiding better speakers this year? We have a set of stereo speakers here, and here's an audio sample for you. Just keep in mind that recorded speaker audio can differ from what you actually hear in person.
Said I need a meal, no less, bruh. I ain't seen it yet, so I might go request you. They been taking shots, think your best now. Seen them all talking with their chest out. Too much going, got them stressed now. And they see me winning, told them why you so upset now.
So after testing them out here in the studio, we have to shockingly report that they both sound exactly the same. But they're still great speakers with decent bass levels and great clarity, so it's not a terrible thing. Oh, and by the way, if you like what you're seeing so far, consider subscribing. It really helps us keep doing what we love, and we see that so many of you are enjoying our videos. Also, if you want to take a closer look at either of these phones, check the direct links we put in the description for you so that you don't have to go on searching. Now let's see how these lonely cameras perform. We've got two Cyclops here, both sporting the exact same 48 megapixel shooter using the same lens and sensor. There's no ultra-wide and no telephoto. Meanwhile, phones like the all-aluminium Nothing Phone 4a Pro give you 3 cameras for less money. Anyway, you can expect the exact same great photo processing from either of these in most conditions, whether you're outdoors or inside. In low light, we actually notice the 17e is a bit noisier, while the 16e tends to smooth out textures more. Apple's marketing claims 2 times optical quality zoom, but let's be real, it's still just a crop on the sensor. 5 times digital zoom shots are just alright, but once you hit that maximum 10 times digital zoom, the post-processing artifacts really start to show. Portrait shots are fine on both, but the edge detection isn't as precise as what we've seen on the upper tier models. Also, for close-up portraits, you are capped at a 2 times digital zoom. Low light is where the quality really drops, with both delivering rough shots and some weird artifacts. effects. 4K at 60 FPS is the maximum format you can choose for video on either iPhone. Just like with the stills, the video quality is virtually identical, maintaining the same color science and dynamic range. This consistency carries over to indoor shooting. Both handle these scenes surprisingly well despite their relatively small sensors. In low light, however, the shortcomings become obvious. The videos turn super dim and the shadows get completely crushed. Up front, you get a 12 megapixel cam for your selfies and shots with your imaginary friends. This camera is actually quite good, even without the square sensor found on the iPhone 17 and higher. In low light, you'll still see decent detail levels and those classic warm iPhone skin tones. And for your TikToks, you can also film at 4K 60 FPS with this front-facing cam. Again, no real differences here, highlights are kept under control, and the detail level is solid. So now let's test out the audio on both of these devices, and we'll start off with the brand new 17E. What do you guys think? How do I sound? And then we have the 16E. Has the 17E had any improvements? What do you think? As always, let's talk about it. As you just heard, you can't even really notice the transition between the two phones because they sound so similar. It's a typical iPhone trait, but background noise is always noticeable on video, no matter the model, so that is something to keep in mind. I don't think we need to go too deep here. Both phones basically offer the same experience and deliver identical photo and video quality. The only things that could have made the iPhone 17E better would be that square sensor selfie cam or an ultra-wide lens, but hey, one can only dream when it comes to Apple. Where we expect an improvement though is in performance given the new processor on the 17E. We've got the A19 processor on the 17E and the A18 on the 16E. Both are technically binned versions of the chips, meaning they have fewer cores than what you'll find in the base iPhone 17 and 16, even though they share the same name. On the RAM side, we are looking at an equal 8GB on both. Though, for storage, Apple did finally raise the base tier to 256GB on the 17E. Here's a quick breakdown of those storage configurations, types, and USB standards. As an extra bit of information, the 17E features Apple's new C1X chip, while the 16E sticks with the previous Gen C1. However, we're still not seeing the Apple N1 chip for wireless connectivity on either of these models. But to see what these phones can actually do, we threw them into some real-world testing, starting with gaming. We ran 15-minute sessions with a cooldown time in between. First up, Grid Legends in graphics mode. We hit a stable ceiling of 30 FPS on both, though the 17E had a tiny hiccup where it dipped to 25 FPS, but it recovered instantly. As for temperatures, they were identical for both. In Wuthering Waves with maxed out settings, both phones started strong, but after some gameplay, the 17E dropped to 47 FPS while the 16E tumbled down to 35 FPS. The 17E, however, managed to stay a tiny bit cooler. Moving to productivity, we exported 99 photos in Lightroom. The 17E engaged turbo, finishing in just 4 minutes and 45 seconds, while the 16E took almost 7 minutes. Strangely, in CapCut, the 16E actually finished first, though only by about 6 seconds. Still, both handled the task in under half a minute. But now, let's look at the benchmarks. In Geekbench 6, single-core performance was pretty much on par, but the multi-core scores on the 17E definitely created a wider gap. In 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme Stress Test, the 17E pulled ahead by over 1,000 points on its best loop. Its lowest loop was still higher than the 16E's, but the difference wasn't quite as dramatic. Finally, in Antutu, we see another score bump for the 17E. Just for context, our base iPhone 17 scored about 2.1 million, so the 17E isn't actually that far off. So altogether, we aren't looking at a massive leap forward with the 17E. It's definitely an improvement, but as you saw in our real-world tests, your day-to-day experience is going to feel very similar on either device. But let's switch over to the software side. Both iPhones currently run iOS 26.4, and Apple usually treats you to around 7 years of software updates. Both phones are identical in this department. We have the same liquid glass UI, wider personalization options for icons and the lock screen, and the increasingly useful Apple Intelligence. Though it's still not quite as seamless as Android, since most of your complex queries are handed over to Google or ChatGPT anyway. We also have the search by screenshot feature, but let's be real, Google circled to search is still more intuitive. Speaking of Google, Apple has reportedly accepted defeat by adopting Google Gemini to power its core AI, which at the end of the day is a win for the user. We personally love Liquid Glass, and since the experience is identical to any other iPhone, there's zero learning curve. However, one frustrating iOS detail is the lack of universal back gesture, so you're constantly guessing when to swipe and when to tap. So with this overview out of the way, let's check out our last category. Inside these pocket iPhones, we have another shared component, which is a 4,005 milliamp hour cell. Apple never gives max wired charging speeds, but for wireless, we have a bump in the 17E to 15 watts thanks to MagSafe. As a fun fact, iPhone with MagSafe do support reverse wireless charging, but exclusively with Apple power banks attached to the phone, while the phone itself charges via a cable. To test real-world endurance, we calibrated both screens to 500 nits and turned off all battery-saving features. Then we ran our 9-app loop, which includes social media scrolling, 4K video recording, web browsing, navigation, gaming, video and music streaming, plus video calling and a bit more video recording and gaming. Surprisingly, the 17E actually lasted a full hour less than the 16E. The 17E tapped out at 10 hours and 48 minutes, while the 16E pushed all the way to 11 hours and 58 minutes. Despite the discrepancy, both delivered very respectable screen-on times. To bring them back up to 100%, we used a 100-watt charger. The 17E was ready for another full day in 1 hour and 27 minutes, while the 16E took 1 hour and 34 minutes. Both did peak at 25 watts though, so Apple definitely tweaked some stuff in the software. But what we're happy that stayed exactly the same for the 17E is the price. It starts at the same $599 that the 16E did at launch, but since the 16E is now a year old, you can snag refurbished units on Amazon for around $409. That creates a massive $190 gap, which is enough to buy you 6 Xbox toasters. You know what? We're gonna be straightforward with you. If you're going to put a case on your phone anyway, just buy a refurbished iPhone 16E, slap on a magnetic case, and you've basically got a 17E for a lot less money. Alternatively, you could look for a refurbished iPhone 15 Pro to get built-in MagSafe, a 120Hz ProMotion screen, and 3 great cameras instead of just 1. But as for the 17E and 16E specifically, both are no-nonsense iPhones, perfect for anyone who wants iOS but couldn't care less about the shenanigans of the upper tier models. However, at this price point, it's really hard to justify the iPhone 17E and its ancient hardware when Samsung, Nothing, or even Google give you so much more for your money. Once again, it feels like this phone exists mostly to drive you into spending more on the base iPhone 17. If you want to see how the iPhone 16E stacks up against alternatives like the iPhone 16, 15, or 15 Pro, which might give you a better bang for your buck, check out this video right here. Oh, and before you go type Google on the Google search bar again, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and hit subscribe because we're always testing the latest tech to help you make the best choice. We'll see you in our next video, and until then, take care.